Hey guys, I'm April from Giggle Glitter Graphics, and today I'm assembling my Dragon's Hoard Ephemera kit. This kit has 12 pieces of ephemera and a folio to put them all inside. It works well on its own, but it also is a great complement to my Dragons Museum Junk Journal kit. If you're interested in either of these kits, you can find links in the description down below. For supplies, I recommend that you have scissors, an X-Acto knife, and some kind of glue. I am using Beacon Fabri-Tac. It is also helpful to have a bone folder and distress ink. I am not distress inking everything today, but I do distress ink the folio pieces to kind of hide some of those white edges on the hinges. So I have cut all of my pieces out ahead of time using my Cricut machine, but you might not have a Cricut machine. So I wanted to give you a quick tutorial on how to cut these out by hand so that everything lines up on the front and back. So I'm just going to cut this ring out real quick, and I'm going to cut out the same space on the front and the back. So I'm just going to go enough that I have points of reference that I can line up. So there's this little bump here where the decoration comes out. And then the prongs, curve on the top, another prong. And that way you can then fold this in half, line up those points of reference. So I'm lining up the prongs and that space there where that little filigree bumps out, and then folding this in half and creasing it. And then when I take my scissors and cut out the rest of it, it lines up on both sides. You can see I have a nice, neat, there we go, nice and neat cut that follows the design on both sides of the page. Now for this piece, I think this is the most finicky, one of the most finicky pieces in the kit. I tried to keep them fairly simple. The center of the ring, you can just leave it if you want, or you can glue these together and then get your X-Acto knife to cut out the center of the ring so that it is hollow, like that. And that is your personal choice. You could also leave it so it hinges open and make a tiny little writing space. So you're limited only by your creativity. So that is how you cut these out by hand if you don't have a Cricut machine. If you do have a cutting machine, and then the PNGs are included with this kit, so you should be all set to cut these all out with your machine ahead of time. So since we've got it out, let's start with the jewelry box. I'm going to fold the full box in half. This is the back of this interactive piece. I have the inside of the jewelry box. I am going to fold this in half really quickly, so you'll have this tab sticking out. Fold it along that line. But this piece is going to get a cut so that we can tuck our jewelry inside. I'm using a scrap piece of paper to protect my surface. I've folded it over. I folded it over several times. So I am going to cut along these two lines so that it'll make a little pocket to tuck the jewelry into. So I'm just going to cut here and here. You don't need to go all the way to the edges, and make sure that this is totally cut through. There we go. A little more here. There. So now there's this little pocket. So that is done. Folded it in half. And put my X-Acto knife to the side, and then there is the lid. I'm also going to fold that in half so it has a front and a back. Next, I'm going to fold the tabs. So these tabs are going to fold over also to the cream patterned side. So I'm just going to fold that over and use my bone folder to crease it. Same thing with this tab. Now I'm going to grab the base piece that has the full jewelry box on it. I'm going to turn it cream side up and open it up. Then I am going to get my glue and glue these tabs to this panel. So I'm going to start with the lid. All right, here we go. So this lid is actually going to flip down in like this. So this tab is going to sandwich in and the lid is going to flip down in like that. So we are going to put some glue right here. And then place the tab like so. So I'm almost matching. Here's what this side looks like, the printed side. And then this will flip up and down right like that. We're going to repeat this process for the bottom of the box. It is going to go right here. So I'm going to place some glue right like that. This is probably the most fiddly piece in the entire kit, which is why I started with it. And that tab is going to go right like that. Flip this up, flip this over, flip this over, make sure everything's lining up very nicely. And you've got your tabs attached to your box. Now I'm going to attach all of these backs down. So just kind of fill this whole thing with glue. If you really wanted to, you could leave this one open and make it totally flip all the way out for more writing space. I'm going to glue mine in. You will need to glue this panel together because that is where our jewelry goes in. So I'm going to open this up. You do not want to glue this part right here, because that is where things are going to tuck down in. You can glue this little diamond shape from the inside of the box, down this side, down this side. Fold it up. And let all of that dry before you try to put anything inside of it. Give that a crease, give that a crease. And there is a little bit of space here that if you decide you want to use a closure like a Velcro dot, you could sneak a Velcro dot in there. Finally, this piece is going to glue down to hide all of our tabs. You can liberally glue over the entire thing. Like that. 1, 2. There's our jewelry box. For the jewelry, I'm just going to glue these back to back, especially this heart pendant. It is a little bit titchy where they connect, so I would not leave that one as a flip. I would just leave it as a piece of ephemera to put in and out of your journal. And then I'm going to glue my ring together since it's fully cut out and there's not really much writing space on that. So fold that right in half. Grab my box and find the little slits. Hopefully I didn't glue it shut. There we go. And my jewelry is just going to pop right down inside of there, like that, and disappear when I close the lid. So now we've got a pocket with a couple pieces of cute ephemera in it and some writing space. And that is it for the jewelry box. The next piece I'm going to assemble is this coin pouch. So I've got all of my pieces here and I'm going to start with this top flap. I'm just going to fold the tab over and give that a crease. And similar to the jewelry box, I'm going to grab this panel, this panel here, stuck together, turning the full pouch to the back. Flip that up so you can see inside, outside. I'm going to hook right over the inside panel, and that is where my tab is going to glue. So just place a little glue along there, press it down, and then it's okay to go ahead, move my coins out of the way, and glue the rest of this pouch together. A little more glue along this top edge just to be sure, and fold. And I just want to make sure everything lines up nicely. Like that. For the inside, this piece is going to kind of complete the inside. You can put some distress ink or some marker along this line if you don't want that white paper showing through. You have to leave that free so that the hinge opens and closes properly. I'm going to leave mine white. And then there is a pocket that goes along this bottom. You're only going to glue around the bottom curve to create a pocket and place it on like so. And that is the structure of the coin purse. And then once all of the glue is dry, all of the coins will tuck inside of the pouch, right like that. And there is a coin pouch. Next, we're going to do the crate full of potions. The potion crate has a front and a back. One side says potions, the other side is blank. I'm going to grab the piece that says potions, and we're going to do the same thing we did with the jewelry box. We're going to cut along these two lines here and here. Right like this. Make sure that this is all popped free. There we go. Right like that. And I'm going to glue this the same way as I glued the jewelry box piece. So all across the diamond, because we want that to be glued down. Then down the bottom, or down the side, across just the bottom. So we're making basically a little pocket here, and up the side. So around all of the edges, and then just on that diamond piece. And I'm going to just stick these two back to back. They should line up nice and neat, like that. And let that dry. For the potions, you're just going to fold these in half. I'm going to leave mine folded. I'm not going to glue these. I feel like they're big enough that if I wanted to, I could write a little note inside, which I think is super cute. But you could glue these back to back if you wanted them to be a little more rigid, or you're just not interested in writing in a space that small. But I'm just going to do all 4 potions folded right in half. And then these tuck right inside of the crate once the glue is dry. And there is the crate of potions. Next, I'm going to assemble the chalice full of gemstones. This piece is pretty simple. We are going to cut along the curve so we can tuck our gemstones down inside. Again, do not cut all the way to the edges. Just going to cut right along the curve here. About like that. And then to test and make sure that's enough, fold the gemstones in half, tuck it in. You can see it's a little bit tight, so I'm going to cut a little more. These should slide all the way down so that you don't see any more of that white paper. So that looks really good. I'm going to fold this in half. And again, just like our other pieces, I'm going to glue just along this top here, down the sides of the chalice, like that. My glue is being a little sloppy. Hopefully I didn't get everything. And then the stem and bottom can be glued entirely together. So right like that. And then this piece, you can either glue it together or again, leave that open for more writing space, and you have a little writing space on either side of that. And it will tuck, oh, there's my slit. We'll tuck right down inside of here once the glue is dry. And you've got your chalice of gemstones. Obviously, the effect works only on the one side, but it is a double-sided chalice. So that way, when the gemstones aren't inside, it looks nice on both sides. Next, we have the statue with the pedestal, and this is another slide-in piece. So I'm going to fold the pedestal in half, carefully lining it up. Crease that. Won't need my X-Acto knife for this one. And very carefully, again, glue just the sides of this. So right down the sides, because this little strip is going to slide right down the middle. And on this side, just a thin line of glue all the way down. You can do a little bead at the bottom just to kind of firm up the structure of this. Nice and neat. And then I'm going to line up the statue, fold that right in half, and I'm going to fully glue these back to back so that it's a little more rigid, it has more structure to slide in and out. You could maybe leave this one open again to write on the inside. However, because it is so long and thin, I feel like it would be good to have that double thickness and have it stuck together with some glue so that you can be sure that it's going to hold up. And then you can just open the top of your pedestal. Might take a little doing the first time. Once you get it down in there and it kind of lives in there for a bit, it will stay open. And then this piece is going to slide right down in like so. And that is the statue on a pedestal. Next, I have the pieces of the broken vase, and you're just going to find the pieces that match back to back, which might be a little tricky. There we go. So there we go, back to back. And then there's this little fold up piece, and I'll just show you really quick since it's in my hand. Do an accordion fold, so you have this cute little oval that'll open up right on both sides if you want. And we're going to make a pocket out of this broken vase. So again, just the edges. My glue is being aggressive today. I want little thin lines, glue. So just around the edge, like that. You can hear some banging around in the background. My husband is baking, and it sounds aggressive. Lots of eggs being cracked and things being tapped on the side of the bowl. So, all right, there's that one. And here's the other one. Again, just the sides. You can glue this top part a little more. The item is just going to tuck right into the belly of this vase. So there we go. Put those together. Once the glue is dried, you'll be able to open up the vase and tuck this inside. Repeat that on the other side, and the two halves should come fully together to make a completed vase. And then you can pull it apart to get your piece of ephemera out. If you find that it's not fitting well, you can always take your scissors or a bone folder and go down in and try to open that up a little more. But I tried to size it really well, so it wasn't too hard to get it to fit properly. So that is the broken vase. Next, I'm making the portrait with the frame. The frame is going to be an envelope pouch, and I'm just going to fold along these lines here. So around the edges of the frame, like so. Repeat it on this side. If you wanted to, you could reverse print this piece so that the inside has a pattern on it using a digital of your choice. I did not include a backer paper with this kit. So those fold over like that. I'm going to run a bead of glue right up here to attach these two flaps together. Then fold up the bottom. Glue it as well. And then the top is going to fold down. You want to do that from the front because it doesn't fold all the way. There's a little extra space there so you can get your piece of ephemera in and out. So there is the frame envelope. And then this card is just going to slide right down inside. And if you find that this piece is too tight, you can always cut a little bit off of the edge of the portrait and it will slide in better, but it should fit pretty well. And that is the portrait painting envelope. Next, I have the elven rug, is what I'm calling it. It could be a tapestry or whatever you like. There is an entire inventory book that goes with this kit, so it lists all the items. And that's a little fun extra thing to explore. So I'm going to fold this in half this way, nice and neat. And then in half again this way. And then open it up again and go corner to corner, right like that. I'm going to open it up one more time. I'm going to take that corner to corner fold and I am going to push it in like this on this side. And then the same thing on this one. I'm going to push it in on this side so that I get a nice little square. So that's just going to fold up as a fun square that's going to kind of pop open. You can write on the back side of it. Fold it back up. And if you want to embellish this piece a little bit, I'm going to show you on my prototype here. I punched holes in the corners and I attached a little embroidery thread and kind of floofed it out to make tassels. And I intend to do that on the corners of all of these, all four corners, just to give it some tasseled corners on my rug. These last four pieces of ephemera are fairly simple. We've got a couple of gemstones. These are just going to fold in half. They are cards that open up for writing space, or you can glue them back to back. So they are double-sided pieces of ephemera. So another gemstone. And this will open and close as well. The harp is a little futzy. When you're cutting this out by hand, you can probably leave this part white here, or if you don't feel like cutting around the wings, you could cut the wings off. This is just going to fold right in half. And again, you can leave it as a card, or what I'm going to do is fully glue it shut. You could also cut out the centerpiece with an X-Acto knife and put some thread in there to make a strong harp. I might do that myself for my journal. I'm not sure. I have a project that I'm going to be using all of these in. So for now, I'm going to leave mine open and just put it to the side. Finally, there is this tapestry, which is also a giant card. Just folds right in half. And for this one, if you wanted to add a little something extra, you could run a string through here, like a hanging string, to add a little extra texture. You could hang some tassels off the bottom just to add a little more oomph. But there is the final piece of ephemera. Next, I'm going to talk about the inventory book. There are 4 pages that are laid out like this. 3 of them are pages of the book and 1 is the cover. They all assemble the same. So you're going to cut this out with a paper trimmer or your scissors, your choice. And I'm going to do that real quick. And once you have it cut out, you're just going to fold this directly in half, long ways. And again, that works for all of these pages as well. They're all laid out exactly the same way. So I'm going to fold that in half that way. And glue the back sides together. You can use a glue stick. I'm going to use my Fabri-Tac. I find my glue stick makes the pages kind of wet, which is strange. Like it just makes everything soft and want to curl up, and I found that the Fabri-Tac does not do this. So there we go. Now I have printed the cover of this on cardstock, so it's a little thicker. The pages I printed on regular paper, and then they're kind of thick once you've glued them back to back to make them double-sided. These are the only things that I've printed on regular paper, were these little pages here. Everything else in the kit I printed on cardstock. So glue that back to back. I'm going to fold this in half. right like that. And you'll do the same thing for all the pages and then just nest them together, right like this. We're going to make a little book all together. If it bothers you that these are sticking out a little, you can trim them to make them even. And then we're going to use string to hold it together. I've got some embroidery floss here, so I'm just going to pull out a good amount. Find the middle of my book. The reason the cover is cardstock is I can just tie this together, kind of wrap around, and I can be happy with that. Otherwise, you can punch a hole in the center and do a little binding that way. You can use staples, anything that gets the job done. I'll just tie this with a knot. Get everything to lay nicely. You might need to crease the edge of your book a few times, but that is just a quick little binding idea. You can use any method you choose to bind your book together. I'll probably fray all this embroidery thread out like I did on my rug, this little guy, so that it's all like a little tassel, something like that. Or I might come back and punch a hole and do a slightly different binding technique. But now I have a book. There is some journaling space inside this if you want, but every single item in this kit is listed in this book with a description of the items. That was all of the ephemera pieces. We are now moving on to the folio. So I'm going to lay all the pieces out here. I have pre-creased all of my pieces, and I will also use distress ink on those to hide some of the white edges. We're going to start with the back panel. And I'm going to get the top treasure chest piece. This piece is going to fold right like this. So here it is on the inside. I have creased and I have creased. I have folded back and forth several times to get a nice crease, and I want it to fold in both directions. It's very important that you fold back and forth a couple times to get a nice crease. I'm going to flip this over. And I'm going to attach this directly to the back of the coin panel. The coin panel does not really have an up or down, anything like that. So don't worry about it facing the right direction. Just on the tab, not the spine area. And then you want to make sure that this folds over nice and neat. It's okay to just fold the whole thing over and then center it up on that panel, right like that. That is the top treasure chest flap. Now let's do the bottom one. This is what this piece looks like open. You're going to start with this tabbed area. You're going to fold the tab. You're going to fold the spine. You're going to fold them in both directions. I've added distress ink to hide the white later on. Then you're going to fold in half along the line here. And that is going to overlap the spine area. It's going to come right up to the tab area. That way the inside of this folio will be finished right there. And I'm just going to glue these together. And this should give us a nice, rigid feeling to our cardstock. Right like that. Now we need to fold this area here, this line in between the wood and the coins. And we are going to want to fold that back and forth as well. So since we've already creased this right here, it's really easy to find that line, fold it up. And I'm going to go back and forth a couple times with my bone folder. I've got some glue coming out there, so let me clean that up. So I folded that up, crease it, and then fold it back the other way and crease it that way as well. It's going to take a little doing. It has gotten pretty thick. Make sure your glue is dry before you do this, or else you might end up with glue kind of oozing out all over the place. Repeat this a couple times just to get that hinge kind of loosened up and flowing in both directions. Once you feel good about that and it's kind of laying flat, you're going to glue that tab on the back side of our first coin panel. I like that. Fold the whole thing over. Make sure everything is centered up and glued down firmly. I'm now going to repeat that technique for these two side panels. So I've folded both of them. Again, tab down, spine down. There's the inside, the distress ink. And then fold in half all the way to the tab and glue it down. Repeat that for the second one. Same thing. All the way to the tab. Then you're going to let the glue dry and fold up these hinges here. This one here should fold here as well. Fold it back and forth until it lays flat. So I've got these both prepared and I'm going to make sure I have them so that the dragons are facing inward. You don't want to end up with them upside down. This is the top of my treasure chest and I'm going to place the dragons like so. So I'm just going to turn this over. Place some glue along the back. And then the same thing for this one. All right. I'm going to turn this so that the treasure chest is facing upright. I'm going to get my dragon panel and that is going to hide all of our tabs and glue right on the back side. I'm going to flip this over, open up the flaps. Oh, let's turn this real quick. We're going to attach this inside panel. Probably should have done that earlier. All right, so this piece is going to go right here. And you're going to do the same thing with this one that you did on the other four. My apologies. Hopefully you're watching this before you actually assemble. So that is just going to glue on here. Line up the curved edge. Let it dry, and then fold along this crease and fold it back and forth a couple of times until it lays flat when it's open. All right, now that the inside is totally finished, we've got pockets to attach. So we're going to start with the big pocket. This pocket comes like this. You're going to fold the inside, this large brown solid panel. Fold that straight down and glue it down. This just gives this long pocket a little more stability so that it will hold up in the long term. Then take these tabs and again, fold the tab down and then fold over this little kind of spine piece. You're going to repeat that all the way around, fold and then fold. So you're going to end up with kind of a deep pocket. Kind of see like that, and with the corners overlapping. And I'm just going to take and put a little glue on each corner to tack these together. before inserting it into the folio. So one on each corner, a little dot on each corner, and then get your corners to meet up and let this glue dry a little bit before moving on to the next step. So you're going to want to make sure that these corners meet nicely, all the way closed, like that. And just let that glue set up before you glue the pocket in. Once this is set up, you can put glue on the rest of the tabs. And then place this pocket on the bottom of the middle panel, the inside panel. Right like that. Make sure everything is going to fold up over it. There we go. You might want to grab your bone folder or another tool to kind of reach inside and press those tabs down. For the side pockets, you're just going to fold in the 3 tabs. This is what they look like. Fold in the 3 tabs. Place some glue on them. And it doesn't matter really which pockets you put on which place. They're just going to go on these little wings here on the side. And you want to line it up with the outside edge and the bottom. Same thing with the second one. Finally, we have this piece. You're just going to fold these little tabs underneath. And this is going to go here. And you're just going to glue this part of the tab. This is going to make a belly band that can accommodate our inventory book. And glue this right in the center, just like so. At this point, you are ready to put your ephemera inside of your folio. You can put most of the items in the front pocket or the middle pocket, and then the rest of the smaller items work really well in these small side pockets. Let me do painting, but everything should fit right inside. Everything fits right in there. These 2 little doors will close. The inventory book slides right into this band. This flips up. I'm just going to finish this off with a Velcro dot. Right like that. And that holds the whole thing shut. I hope you've enjoyed this project. You can find this kit as well as the coordinating Dragons Museum kit in my Etsy shop. There are links in the description down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.